Well, welcome again to Talking Small Press Comics. I'm here again with Steve Keeter. I'm Larned Justin, and got a couple more comics to talk about, so let's get right to it. Which one you want to look at first, Steve?
Well, I mean, I don't know. You have the new issue of PPFSZT. Is this the one you have, number 47?
Yes, I have that right here.
Hi, Jim Main. I want to say something. You
Okay.
guys that are UFO, and I know you guys are watching these videos. If you want your books reviewed on our show, you have to send a copy to Larned. In fact, I'm gonna post something today, and Jim sent a copy.
Yeah.
My books to Larned. But you guys, if you want them reviewed, send them.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part. You do have to send two, one to Steve and one to me, because he's in Florida and I'm in Missouri.
Yeah.
And it's hard to look at the book when he's in Florida.
Yeah. So by next time, I'm expecting to see a flood of books, and we'll review your books if you send them in.
Oh yeah.
So we're just waiting on a few more, but we got this one, and Jim Main has been around as long as I have, which was like 1812 or somewhat.
It's exactly the same year I was born. Yeah.
We started publishing in an old Ben Franklin press way back in the 1800s.
Yeah,
1700s.
that's right. Yeah,
that's right. Around the time of the American Revolution. That's when we got started. Yeah.
But his publications, I mean, they really look good. There's that's the contents page of this one. Look at that illustration on the inside cover.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's by Troy Boyle and Jim Larder.
Yeah.
Incredible Minotaur illo. That Joker illo there is by Gary Allen Barker, or Gary Barker. And Gary is he's a friend of mine. He's one of the teachers at the Ringling School of Art.
Oh, really?
And yeah, he's in fact, he did the cover for Mantra number 22. I think we're going to mention that somewhere else in this video.
Yeah, we'll get into that one. Yeah.
This is Gary's artwork, and Gary is not just that. He's not just a small press guy. This guy does the Garfield newspaper comic strip. He ghost illustrates that.
Okay.
Garfield comics. He illustrated most of those too.
He's making a living at it.
Yeah, he's unheralded, but he is a fantastic artist. So, what were you going to say?
To how you pronounce this, I'm sure we all have a different way of pronouncing it. Is what I would say.
I got it from Jim Main. The actual pronunciation is PPFSZT. The actual pronunciation from Jim Main is PPFSZT.
PPFSZT with the silent F.
Right, and this cover's wrong because there's supposed to be an asterisk before, at the very beginning. There's an asterisk.
Oh, is that right?
Left out the asterisk.
And so it's a collector. It's a collector's item. It's a collector's item because this one does not have an asterisk.
Yeah. No, there has to be an asterisk, or there should be an asterisk. It's not that big a
deal. Get this, number 47.
Yeah, Jim Main has been publishing this since the early 1970s.
Beautiful.
And I have a few of the very early copies. I have a copy of PPFSZT number 1, which is an old Ditto zine. I mean, I could try to look it up, but we're going to talk about what we have in hand right now.
This is 24 pages, comic book size, maybe a little bigger than a comic book. When you say,
I'll tell you something funny. We had this friend, Jim Main and I were both at the Chicago Comic Con back in the 1980s, like 1986 and 87. For 2 years we went to, and we roomed together and everything with a bunch of other comic book geeks. And there was this guy, Brendan Gramer, who was doing comics at the time, and he was almost completely deaf, and he didn't know how, and he talked kind of funny, and you had to listen really good to understand what he was saying. And he thought he had figured it out, how to pronounce PPFSZT. Okay. And he looked at the title, and I was standing with Jim Main and Alan Freeman at the Chicago Comic Con, and he said, I know how to pronounce this. He said, piece of shit. Piece of shit.
What'd Jim say?
Jim just looked at me and he looked at her. He said, yeah, right. Piece of shit.
Well, it's not.
Good story.
It's not that.
But it's not. It's not crap. This is a good zine.
This has got, along with illustrated stories, it's got written stories also. This is one by Will Murray, and the illo is by Kevin Duncan. You can see the illo for the story right there, which is really nice. And
that's
then
the story about the guy. That's about the guy who escaped from prison.
Yeah, you can see the laundry cart there he's looking at. Yeah.
There was a surprise. He escaped from prison, and he hitched a ride on the way out. And did you read it all the way to the end? Do you know the surprise at the end?
No, I'm not going to say the surprise at the end, because I want people to look for themselves.
But there's a surprise. I mean, you can kind of see it coming,
Yeah.
But it's a great story.
Read it for yourself.
I like Alan Groening.
And Alan, yes. Alan Groening as
we're on the same page. We're definitely on the same page here.
Yeah.
And I thought this was hilarious. It was so true.
It's about doing a comic book convention or comic book fair. Yeah. And it's all the things that you go through.
Yeah. Like at the beginning, his stepfather said, when I was young, his stepfather, he was doing his own comics, and his stepfather says, you'll never publish anything.
Yeah.
And then his mom, he did a comic about aliens, and his mom said, have you ever thought about doing vegetable characters? We were, when we were kids, they all thought they were funny. I've been around a long time. I was born in 1956, but people didn't take comic books seriously. There weren't the big Marvel movies and all this stuff back in those days. They thought they were just funny books. When I was a kid, and people said, oh, you like to draw funny books. Well, you'll never make a living doing that, which is true. But but they didn't understand that, this is a creative outlet for people, and that we love doing comics,
Yeah.
It's art, it's writing, it's everything combined in publishing. And but they didn't understand it. They thought it was something cute and childish.
And I don't think people quite realize the work that goes into drawing a comic book.
Right.
I do acrylic paintings, I do watercolor paintings. They're not nearly as much work as a comic book. Comic book is, wow. Because you got to lay it out, you got to pencil it, you got to ink it, you got to do all the word balloons, you got to tell the story, you got to do all that. So
like this one here in the new mantra by this guy Larned.
Yeah. I thought we'd get to that when we get done with this one.
But we'll keep going with
another. This is another strip in here that I like. Tukey. Take a look at Tukey. It reminds me of the drawings a little bit of maybe cartoons back in the 1900s.
It looks a little bit like your artwork, like your characters.
I see a little bit of that, but it has this old time flavor to it.
Yeah.
Right around 1900, those kind of comics, and it's pretty funny.
Sort of influence. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Tukey's got a job in construction here, and
absolute chaos, construction chaos. It looks like.
Yeah, Simon Mackey is the artist.
This guy here gets end up with bricks, covered by bricks.
Yeah. But pretty funny little cartoon, 2 pages, and I liked it. I got a kick out of it.
Interesting that he looks like Simon Mackey, and he has the same influences that you have, which is the early 1900 comics.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. That's kind of
Of
interesting.
course, my main influence, I've said this many, many times, is Mad Magazine. That
Yeah.
that to me was it when I was a kid. That was it. So I never, I always tried to draw a little bit like Mad. So, and I still do.
Well, I love Mad Magazine. I don't go
Yeah,
back far enough to remember the Mad comic books, the EC Mad comic books of the 1960s. I started right away with Alfred E. Newman and Mad Magazine in the early 60s. And
hmm,
yeah, I always loved it.
yeah,
That was
I
a
did
great
too.
zine.
Jack
They never
Davis
ran
and
out of ideas.
Bill Elder and those guys are just amazing artists. Wally Wood, boy, I mean,
Oh,
they could
yeah.
draw anything, anything. So anyway, getting back to this, the next story we have is, I think this is called Acrobat, I believe.
It looks like it's called Part One. This is the one with my characters, right? It has the Acrobat and the Raven in it. It's written by Jim Main.
Yeah, Jim Main.
Um,
And this
the
one's,
Acrobat is a character called Jim Grain, okay? Jim
uh,
Main, Jim Grain. Because
yeah,
Jim created the Acrobat. The Raven is a character that I created. His last name is Keeter. It's Kevin Keeter. It looks like Keeter. My last name is Keeter. And
oh,
but I just, instead of ending in TER, it ends in TRE. So
and
Keeter.
this is Tony Lauren's work.
Yeah,
He's the
Tony
guy that
Lorenzo. I'll
Tony
be
Lauren.
seeing him in a couple of weeks. I'll be seeing Tony. Tony, yeah, that's
Okay.
Tony's Lorenz. He always does a great job, and he's so prolific and so talented.
Hmm.
And I just heard from Tony, and I saw some of the stuff he posted on Facebook. He's working on 4 comics right now for different people. He's working on 4 comics at the same time, and some of these comics are like 20 pages or longer. But he just keeps creating. He just
Man,
keeps doing stuff. He's got so much energy and so much talent.
must, yeah. Anyway, that's the story, and it's about what do we got, 5 pages? 5 pages long. Nice
Yeah, and the
story.
thing is, Jim is using it's a lead up. So what this is a lead up to an epic adventure starring the Vindicators, which is a combination of Jim Main's characters and my characters, and they've appeared before over the years in Pazit, Jim Main's zine, which we talked about, and mostly in Pazit. But um, there's only like the Raven is a character I've been doing for ooh, since the very beginning and way back.
Hmm.
And there's like only a couple of other people I really trust to write that character and do it right. You know, I've written a lot of adventures of the Raven, but Jim Main always does a great job.
Hmm.
And Doug Freeman, who illustrated the Raven #2.
Oh, yeah.
This isn't his cover. This is Gary Barker's cover. Remember we just talked about
Yeah, we
Gary
talked
Barker?
about that one, yeah.
But Doug Freeman did the artwork here in the Raven
Hmm.
#2. It came out a few months ago, and I trust him too. And he's actually writing and drawing
Hmm.
a new a comic strip. He's doing 4-panel comics of the Raven, picking up where we left off here.
Hmm.
And yeah, I just saw a glimpse of it. I think he started it out as kind of like, well, I'll just do this for fun. But I think now he's starting to take it seriously, and he's going to publish that somewhere. So it's it's gratifying that, you know, characters that I created that other people who are
Yeah, that's
talented,
fun.
more talented than me perhaps, are taking what I started with, the foundation that and they're running with it.
Yeah,
And Doug and
that's
Jim are
cool.
both doing that.
Yeah.
So it's really nice.
I wanted to show this illustration. This is just a standalone illustration in the book. Look at that.
Yeah,
Can you see that?
that's the end.
I'll get right here. But anyway, look at the detail in that.
Yeah, who did that?
Macmillan, or let me see, I had that wrong. I gotta look at the front. McCollum, Rick McCollum. I don't know who. Yeah,
Oh,
Rick
it's on page 20. Page 20, folks. If you have your copy, go to page 20 right now.
But that is very cool. Man, the work in there.
Oh yes, super
Oh,
detailed, unbelievable.
yeah. I don't know how
That's
long
one of
that
the
must
best
have
things.
taken to do all that ink work in there.
Yeah,
But
that's one of the,
that's the kind of thing you might see at an art show rather than just in a comic book. You know,
yeah,
you would think he would be selling prints of that like at art shows. I
amazingly
mean,
detailed.
yeah, and he may very well be doing that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
And this front cover, I mean, when I first saw this, Jim posted the cover on Facebook before he ever published the zine, and I thought the lady in the front was naked. I mean, she looks naked. If you look really close, you can see she's not quite naked. You know,
no,
so, you know,
I think she has a
Jim,
spacesuit on. A spacesuit on.
censorship.
Yeah,
But this is not the case.
and we
So,
got a page by Jack Bertram in here.
yeah, I like the
That one.
Vincent Price Illo. Okay. Oh, Jack Bertram.
Yeah.
Jack is great.
Yeah.
Jack did what did he do? Was it Dish? No, that was Scott. That was Scott. Somebody else. But Jack has been around for a long time. He did some work for me back in the '80s and stuff. It's good to see. I haven't seen a lot of work by Jack Bertram lately, but I've always liked his style.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm. Good.
always impresses me.
And then a page by Doc Boucher where you're supposed to try and guess who these people are.
Mm-hmm.
I guess two
Yeah.
of them. I guess two of them.
Which two did you guess?
The two men. But
Who's
I
the other
don't
guy?
know.
Vincent Price? Who's the other guy? I
Buster
thought it was
Crabbe.
Ron Howard. Who
Buster
is it?
Crabbe. Buster
That's
Crabbe.
Buster,
Flash
that's
Gordon.
Buster Crabbe?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't recognize him. It looked like Ron Howard to me when I first saw it.
No, I think I'd say Buster Crabbe because that's that's Buster Crabbe to me. But I don't know the ladies. I don't know the ladies.
The one on the bottom left, I don't know, it might be Betty Davis. I'm not sure. Hey, Doc, if you're watching this, and I'll make sure you watch this because I'm going to send you the link.
Yeah, and he can tell us. But I think he just wants you to guess. So I don't want to give everything away. Somebody else can figure out who the ladies are.
Yeah. I like what Jack Bertram did here. Some of this stuff is funny.
Oh, yeah, I know.
I like this one. Here's Yanni.
Looks just like him. Yeah.
That's great. You got a back cover by
yeah,
Kurt Erickson.
Well, don't forget about Kel. Kel
Yeah,
Crum.
Kel Crum. Yeah.
One of
Kel
my
Crum is
favorites.
he is one of the funniest guys.
Absolutely. Yeah. If
Everything
you want,
he does is
you know,
hilarious.
we got to get Kel to send us something so we can talk about it because he's got some of the best comics out there.
Absolutely. Yeah, I got some of his stuff too. And he did work for Mantra 22 for the last Mantra. He did work for that too.
Good.
I think that's probably the first thing I ever published by Kel. So I'm late to the party as that goes. I might have published something by him before, but
Go ahead.
Really appreciate. I just really recently began to appreciate how hilarious he is. He never invited that.
The Cornelia books are a riot.
That's right. I do have those. Those.
Yeah. I love them. And you said the back cover, which is real nice illustration.
Kurt Erickson.
Yeah.
He used to publish. He was one of the chairman of the UFO for several years, like 5 years, back in the 1970s, and he used to publish Endeavor. And now he's back. He's back in small press. I think I was instrumental in contacting Kurt and getting him interested in coming back to small press. And now he's publishing Endeavor again, his signature zine, which is mostly text fiction, but also a lot of artwork and stuff. And he's moving that out too.
Excellent illustrator and colorist. Very nice back cover. All right. Let's see what we got. Mantra.
Oh, I've seen that one before.
Yeah.
I think I said Mantra 22. No, this is only Mantra 12. Mantra or Mantra, whatever you want to call it. The pharmacist who I work for is from India.
Mm-hmm.
I told him to publish something called mantra or mantra, and he says, "Do you know what a mantra is?" And I said, "Yes, it's a word we concentrate on in transcendental meditation, not medication, but."
Meditation.
Because back in the 70s, I published which we're doing a reprint of. Oh yeah, let's grab that real quick. I just got unplugged. I hope you can hear me.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna plug this back in a second. It's just because the sound is better. But yeah, it's just that during the early 70s, I was a young hippie guy, and growing my hair long and all, and I was in high school, and it was cool to be into transcendental meditation, and the Beatles had gone to visit the Mahesh Yogi in the 1960s. It was kind of cool. So we didn't really know what it was all about, but we thought it was kind of cool. Yeah, meditation, cool. And the word
That's what you say when you meditate, right?
Yeah, I said, what'd you concentrate on when you're meditating? Or maybe it's om. But I published this back in 1973, and Dan Burke and I are working on a new cover-to-cover reprint of this. In fact, it's at Kablam right now, and within the next month, I should get the first couple of copies. I'll look those over. But this was published in 1973, and it was my first UFO zine, or the last of the original BPP zines before that.
Is that your artwork there?
That covers by Chuck Robinson.
Oh, okay.
Chuck Robinson II. So he did that, and he's the guy who got me into small press pretty much. He published Comique back in those days. But yeah, so we're doing a cover-to-cover reprint. It's at the printers right now, and we'll see how it turns out. It's kind of expensive to print. It's going to be in full color, cover-to-cover. The interiors were published in Ditto, the Ditto method on Spirit Duplicator, and they're in purple, and and it costs, for one copy, it cost me almost $5 just to make one copy. So it's going to be kind of expensive. I'll send out a few free copies, but I'm going to have to get advance orders for this. So I'm going to have to ask for at least $7 or so. I don't know how much interest I'll get, but since it's print on demand, I only have to print enough to supply the demand.
Yeah.
If I get 5 orders, I'll print 5. If I get 50 orders, so that's coming up too.
Good.
But we were talking about mantra, and I reread your strip in here.
Oh, okay.
But I knew already. You mentioned something to me just recently, because the write-up that I did for the UFO checklist, I said that this group of zany characters is looking for a politician, but I didn't mention that it is a parody of the Wizard of Oz.
Right.
And I knew that. But I reread it, and I just reread it this morning.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, it's so great. Your artwork is so great. And every page, the jokes, there's there's a lot of gags in here, and really funny stuff.
Yeah.
And,
well, that's what I enjoy doing. I mean, I kind of like to twist things around, because here you've got a guy from another planet lands on Earth, and
the guy with 3 eyes.
Yeah, he's got 3 eyes, and he says, "What planet is this?" First question they ask in a science fiction movie, what planet have I landed on? Well, the cat. This is a cat. He has no idea. He says Missouri. So kind of goes from there.
Yeah, and they're off on a search for a politician.
Yeah, because the guy says, "Take me to your leader." Once again, the cat's got no clue. He says, "Leader? Oh, we don't have leaders. We got politicians."
Right.
So
and they
take me to your politician.
They encounter wicked rich of the West. And when they finally find the Capitol building, everything is such a wreck.
Oh,
It
yeah.
looks like this.
Yeah, it's all been destroyed. Yeah.
Utterly destroyed. They find a politician, and he's been in. There's been numerous politicians that have taken over his office. So you can see one name is crossed out, followed by another and another, until you get to the final politician there. And he just so happens to look like the Wizard of Oz, the wizard himself from the Oz movies.
Need to move that over just a little bit.
Is that here? Where's it at? Where's my finger? My finger's here. There he is.
There he is.
There he is.
That's the politician.
And
he
good.
does look familiar. Yeah.
That's nice artwork too. So, yeah, beautiful strip. I love it. That's why I put it as the lead strip. It's 16 pages long.
Thank you.
Actually, yeah, I thought it was definitely worth featuring. So
Appreciate
great
that.
job on that.
Haven't done a lot of stuff lately, but that one is fairly old, and there was a couple pages missing that I had to redraw before I sent it to you.
That's interesting. That's
Yeah.
interesting. Do you know what pages they were?
No, I don't remember which ones they were right now, but I know I had to redraw them.
Well, it flows
'cause I
together
couldn't find them.
seamlessly. You can't tell that there's anything has been redrawn.
Yeah.
There's
And
some
I had to-
detail in a lot of this.
Yeah, I don't think
And,
you'd be able to tell, but I know I did it. I'm thinking it was where they first met the beatnik. I think right in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So right in the beginning there where they meet the beatnik on the road. Yeah. I think that page where they meet him, I think I redrew that. That's a
Yeah, the
new,
beatnik. He says, "Us cats got to stick together, right?
yeah.
Not just the cat; they're all cats because he's
Yeah.
a beatnik." And one interesting thing is, I'm talking about my own zine here, so I'm not going to try to hype
Well,
it up
that's,
too.
yeah, but what the heck?
Yeah, but I don't know if I mentioned. I think I mentioned this before. Love for a Fox. This is the story was written by Mark Prosky back in the 1970s and
Okay.
illustrated all these years later, illustrated by Burl Bond. And I'm
Now-
glad Burl's still around.
I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't quite grasp that. There's very few words. It's mostly pictures, very well done. I don't know what it was about.
It's okay. I've heard this. I've felt the same way for 40 years. I
Oh,
never quite
okay.
understood this script.
Huh?
But yeah, Mark Prosky was around for a little while in the 70s. At first, he did some work for Chuck Robinson for Comique. Then he started doing work for me. And at the beginning, his work was comprehensible. It made sense. And it was a poetic flow to what he did.
Mhm.
I think it was the 70s. I think maybe Mark got involved with some happy substances or something along the way.
And it was perfectly clear to him what he was doing.
Yeah, he knew what he was doing. It made sense to him, but when he sent the script to me, this is, I think, was the last script that he sent to me. It didn't make any sense at all.
No.
But
I was lost.
yeah, there was something.
That A is
about
in
it.
the ground. Is that an A?
I haven't been. Yes, an A. There's an A in the snow.
In the ground, in the snow. Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know what it means. He
I
never
didn't either.
explains it. There it is, the big A right
Big
there.
A, and I
But
could
I
not.
liked something about the script that was poetic, and I sent it to 3 different artists. The first 2 artists I never heard from again.
I wonder why.
And in fact, I even started drawing it myself at one point. I might even have the sketchy originals from that somewhere, but I bailed on it too. But I sent it to Burl Bond. I said, I'm going to give it one more shot. And Burl agreed to illustrate it. And whether it makes sense or not, his artwork was
His
beautiful.
artwork was great. Yeah. Yeah.
Really beautiful.
But-
It's totally worth, publishing. So, yeah.
The challenge is, and we can have our viewers take up the challenge. You figure the story out and let us know. And
Yeah,
maybe somebody
it's
will
like-
have a pretty good idea what it is.
Yeah, it's like when I went to the movie theater at the end of the 60s, I was like 13 or whatever, and I went and saw 2001: A Space Odyssey
There
on a
you
big
go.
screen, and
Well-
walked out of there going, wow, that was awesome. What
What
the
was it?
hell was that all about? What?
Yeah.
It was
Great
beautiful,
movie. What the heck was it about, though?
but-
No,
the
I
last 15 minutes is a a trip, some
Yeah.
kind of strange trip. It was crazy. Still a great movie.
Yeah. Okay.
Here's
The
Kel
next
Crum.
story in here is this is very cool by a guy named Steve Keeter. Wrote this
Oh, that
story.
guy. Is he still around, that guy?
I think so. And the great Steve Shipley did the illustrating. Wow.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
We're bringing back the Oracle agents, the characters created by Steve Shipley all those years ago.
Wow.
He published them. He published a comic called Dynamite back in the early 70s.
Uh-huh.
And he published like 10 issues of it. And I took it over. I brought it back in the mid 80s and started publishing. I got him involved. I got other people involved. And we did more issues of Dynamite. We continued these characters, the Oracle agents, the cat, the bird, and the eye. And this is a revival, and it actually takes place kind of in real time. Well, maybe not quite in real time, but at least 30 years later. So the characters are older. The human eye, who was an android, is actually on display in a museum. And this one character, the bird, there's a giant flesh-eating monster attacking and ripping the top off the museum. And he pinches on him on the shoulder like Spock, but that reactivates the eye, who was the most powerful of the Oracle agents, and you know, they have this battle.
The eye wasn't old enough to have cataracts or anything, was he? He's okay.
He's just one big eye.
Yeah, so one big cataract. Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently he's okay though.
One big eye.
That's 6-page story in there, 6 pages long.
Yeah, so we're starting to revive Shipley's old characters, and that's fun. So we're going to go somewhere else with that. One of the characters, the human cat, has appeared in another one of my recent issues, recent zines.
And you got a written story in here by Mike Tuz, which is
Mike Tuz.
Cool, very cool.
Yeah, I've known Mike Tuz also since the 1970s. An old pal, a friend of Jim Maine's. He lives in Connecticut, and but he's an old pal from way back. After all these years,
I've seen his writing many, many times. Yeah.
He sends me lengthy letters of comment, and he has for decades. I even have a new letter from him regarding this issue that'll be published in the next issue. So.
Oh, good.
It's good that Mike is still around. So
yeah. And we were talking about Kel Crum, and he has a page in here, which is very funny. A good one. I don't know if I want to give it away though. That's a good one. I don't think we should give that one away. Gotta get the book to see that.
Kel did with it. He said, you know, I work in a pharmacy, and we've been doing the COVID vaccines for a while.
Yeah.
And, excuse me. My goodness.
So he did a little strip on COVID vaccine.
Kel says, give me an idea, and I'll make a story out of it.
Well, yeah, you know what it is. He has his characters have a improv troupe, and what you do, you give him an idea for his characters to perform an improv, and he illustrates it. So, I mean, that's a cool idea. I did one that he illustrated, and yeah. So anyway, that's what this is. It's in here, but we're not going to show it to you because you got to buy the book.
But Kel just asked me for an idea. He said, give me an idea, one-word idea. And so I said, vaccine.
There you go.
And that's what this 4
That's all he
pages.
needed. Yeah.
And as usual, he's hilarious.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. So I enjoyed doing that zine. So after that, I've been publishing so much. I'll be taking a break in a little bit, but I do want to get this #1 reprint out. So.
Well, you've got your T-frags for the UFO. You sent me that. Thank you.
Yeah.
So that's got a lot of kind of reviewing the comics that the UFO produces. And
yeah, it's columns by the members of the UFO, columns and artwork, mostly columns.
Yeah.
But you got like Larry Johnson, his columns are so good, and he'll go on for 6, 7 pages with just fascinating columns. He gets really in depth. When he reviews a zine, he goes way into detail.
Yeah.
And it's always a blast to read, you know.
And
Tom
there's
Felrath
some
is in
artwork
this
in here
issue.
too. Alan Sism, some art,
Yeah,
little story.
yeah.
And
Yeah, he wanted to do his column. He's actually Alan has just left the UFO for his own reasons, but he wanted to do his column. He didn't want to do a written column. He wanted to do his column as a comic strip. And I said, oh, go with it, go with it. Whatever makes you happy. And I like having more artwork in the newsletter.
Yeah.
So he did. This comic strip is actually going to be continued in one of his own publications. Yeah. Meanwhile, I got a cover by Tom Felrath. Tom Felrath sent me a whole bunch of artwork that's never been published anywhere.
Nice.
And he's not a member of the UFO. I believe he was years ago. But his artwork is too good to resist. So
yeah. And that's 49 pages. So, you know, quite a bit through that.
Yeah. I got one other thing I wanted to mention, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I got this from Two Morals Publishing. It's called Back Issue Magazine. Have you ever seen one of these?
No.
I never actually seen, but apparently they published a lot of comics, and it's just a really slick, high quality magazine. This one has a cover by Ray Durgo, and where he talks about comics. And this particular issue deals with the Bronze Age and TV tune tie-ins. So comics that were published of characters that were in the movies. I mean, in the cartoons on television, I mean. Like Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Oh, yeah. One of my favorites.
Since it was, watch me pull what do you say? Watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat.
Yeah.
It's Bullwinkle.
Yeah, I watched that all the time when I was a kid. Yeah.
And he's talking about the Bronze Age. So he's talking about comics that came out in the 70s and 80s. And he published an article in here, a really in-depth article on Mighty Mouse, which was published. Mighty Mouse was published by Spotlight Comics, which Jim Main was a managing editor of that. Rich Maurizio was the publisher, and this was a mainstream publication with newsstand publication, and I just happened to be one of the writers. So it gets really into depth about Mighty Mouse in the Bronze Age, and he's got interview questions in here, or interview comments from both Jim Main and myself.
Oh, cool!
It's very flattering.
Yeah.
So that I'm considered, that I was actually a so-called pro, you know, for a little while. Here's a comment for me right here. I wrote several scripts that were never published. Unfortunately, I no longer have most of them, just a few snippets. I do have the complete but never published artwork for a Mighty Mouse story called Long John Catnip, written by yours truly and illustrated by Nate Butler and Dennis Ye. I do have that. I might publish that somewhere and just put a copyright symbol on it.
You can do that, can you?
But yeah, I did have a story in Mighty Mouse, Mouse #2 for Spotlight Comics, and here's the cover right here. That's the cover. That cover is by Kurt Swan, who drew Superman for many years. Kurt Swan and Frank McLaughlin did the cover, and I have a story in that particular issue. And I've always been here's a page from the story right here.
Oh yeah.
Illustrated by Ray Durgo, and Ray Durgo also did the cover here. So it's flattering. It's flattering and gratifying that somebody recognizes that, you know, we had our moment in the Sunday. And Spotlight Comics was around for a couple of years. After they folded, the publisher went bankrupt, so they folded, and then Mighty Mouse went over to Marvel Comics. Marvel took over the character, and I swear to you, Marvel did not do as good a job as we did, because we were they were just hyping their other characters, and we did it from the heart. We were people who loved this character, loved the Terry Toons character ever since we were children. Yeah. And so when we wrote, we wrote stories that came from the heart, and we had a ball doing it. I was trying to capture the flavor of the original Mighty Mouse cartoons in my story. And I had written a lot of scripts, as I said, that never got published because they went under. I also wrote scripts for Underdog. I wanted to do Tom Terrific, but anyway, it's too bad they didn't last. But it was great while it lasted.
Yeah. Huh. Well, I think we've got everything done that we wanted to do.
I think we exhausted. Considering we only had one new zine to review, we got a lot. We said a lot.
Yeah. Well, Mantra was new for me. I mean, we had Jim's and yours, and so. I know
you mentioned in a message to me that Doug Sparkman was going to send something to you. Doug's a great guy. He's been around for a long time, and again, he's a guy who publishes from his heart. So hopefully, if you receive something by him, maybe we can review it in the next.
What he said was he sent it and it was returned to him. But I tried to ask him if did he do you want me to give me your address again or whatever, and he had to get off. He was actually texting me while he was driving. So I said, okay, let's not do that. So I haven't heard from him back.
And I know you've been having problems. I sent you 2 copies of Mantra. You only got one, right?
Only got one.
Right. So you may get the other one later, but for some reason,
I got the one that took the longest to get here. I got that one. And then I think the day I got it, you sent the next one.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have an extra copy, hopefully, of Mantra.
That's okay. Keep it or give it to someone. Give it to someone who might be interested.
Okay.
All righty.
All right. So we're going to end this one now, and that was fun. And we will be back as soon as we get some more comics. So it's kind of
right. I'm going to put the word out. I'm going to put something on the UFO websites, on Facebook, the UFO pages there, and I mentioned, folks, you got to send Larned a copy. Don't just send one to me, and maybe we'll get some people to.
Yeah, and I usually put that down. This will be on YouTube, and I usually put the description in the description of the video. I usually put all the addresses you need, and our addresses, and the fact that unfortunately, if you want us to review your comic, you got to send 2, one to him and one to me. Sorry.
Well, if there are members of the UFO, I get a free copy anyway. So all they have to do is send 1 extra copy to you. But of course, we're looking for other people too, not just UFO.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anybody that would like their comic reviewed, unless you don't like the way we review comics.
It's not like we're dying to receive free copies of everybody.
No, I don't want. I really, that's not the idea. My channel does. My channel does have over 1,000 subscribers. Now, I'm not saying we get that many views, but we do have 1,000 subscribers on my channel. And we've been getting about 80 views. So somebody's looking at it.
Yeah, folks have definitely got to be interested out there. And we're glad you are. Thanks so much for tuning in, people. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we really do. All right. We will see you next time.